The Clemson Tigers head back to Death Valley to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this weekend. After a 2-game losing streak on the road, can Clemson come back and rebound after Dabo Sweeneys has lit a fire under the team after Tyler from Spartanburg had some difficult questions to ask of the head coach? We'll talk about that and much more right here on The Morgan Thomas Show.
Looks like it's morphin' time.
This is my house. I built this. This is my house, and this will always be my house. Now let's continue.
Cause I love me some me. I love me some me.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
We're gonna win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
And now, The Morgan Thomas Show.
Now, before we get into the video, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my exclusive Clemson content I put out every single week. All right, so you know how the format goes. I'm going to throw up a question for you and me to answer, and we'll get to it. Make sure you put your answers in the comments, and I'll check them and get back to you there. I'd love to hear your perspective on these questions. So let's hit you with question number one. How do you think the recent 2-game losing streak and injuries will affect Clemson's performance in the upcoming game against Notre Dame? Well, I do feel like the recent 2-game losing streak has been bad, not only for the roster, but also for the team on a national level, and also for the fan base as well. Everybody's getting more and more frustrated with how Clemson has been performing. And it's not so much that Clemson fans don't think that Clemson can win these games. I think everybody feels like Clemson can beat these teams. They're just not beating them. They're finding ways to lose rather than finding ways to win. They're doing that thing that we won't mention, that word that we won't say, it seems like. And that's not common for a Dabo Sweeney-led team, to see a team like this make so many mistakes, to seem not to know what they want to do with the football when they have the ball. It seems to really hurt the team's perception that they know what to do, or they know how to even play football together as a team. So it really has been frustrating to watch. I'm sure as a player, it's probably been pretty frustrating to play on a team like this because it just doesn't seem like you can get anything together. And as a coach, I'm sure it's pretty frustrating to try to figure out how to fix it when it seems like if one thing doesn't go wrong, then something else will go wrong. So it's been very frustrating across the board. You would have liked to have seen Clemson beat Miami. They had opportunities there. They had the lead late, and they couldn't get it done. Same thing with North Carolina State. They had opportunities to win the game, and they still couldn't get it done. It seemed like the things that were happening that were positive were just few and far between. And I've said it in the past, almost more lucky than anything to get something positive to happen. And you really don't want that. You want an offense that seems more confident than that can figure out how to do the bread and butter plays more consistently and more successfully than they have been. What I will say is I feel like that coming home and being in the Clemson environment with a home crowd in Death Valley, I think will help. But again, this is not an easier team to have to face. This is Notre Dame. This is a ranked team. This is a team that does seem to know what they want to do with the offense on the offensive side of the ball. And they do have playmakers that they trust. They have a quarterback that is very experienced, albeit Sam Hartman has never beaten Clemson in his career, in the college career, but he has a much different team now. And last year, I know Clemson fans remember going to Notre Dame and seeing that team just run all over the Tigers as the game kept going. They just kept being able to pound the ball. The Clemson defensive line just seemed to have no answers for their rushing attack. Now, they really still have that same guy in Audric Estime running the ball, so that's going to still cause a problem there. I'm curious to see how Clemson can prevent the Notre Dame's rushing attack from starting and see if they can hold them for 4 quarters. I don't know if they can. I probably lean more towards they can't. But I do feel like coming home will help kind of alleviate some of the bad feelings from that 2-game losing streak. However, we've seen on the internet today, this week, that injuries are starting to pile up on the side of the ball that you really can't afford to have it, and that is on the offensive side of the ball. Tyler Brown, star wide receiver, he's got a foot thing, and he also got poked in the eye, I believe. So he's got some things going on. You don't know if he's going to be able to be a full go. Antonio Williams, he's not going to be able to play. He's got that toe thing. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. We don't know if we're going to see him by the end of the season. So 2 big-time wide receiver playmakers that Cade Klubnik does not have the opportunity to throw the ball to. And then you look at his running back, Will Shipley, who got hit against North Carolina State in the back of the neck, caused a concussion, looked really bad. We're really scared for him. At the time, we hear that he's getting better, but he's still day-to-day. He still has not been cleared, and it's not up to the coaching staff to clear him. It's up for the concussion protocol and the medical staff to clear him. Honestly, with as bad as it looked, I don't expect him to play at all. So you got to scratch out your 2 wide receivers, scratch out your running back, your number 1 running back, really 1A running back, and then we heard today that Marcus Tate has hurt his knee and he's not going to be able to go. So your starting left guard is also hurt in an offensive line that has been just absolutely terrible this year. They can't get anything together. And now we're hearing that yet another injury on the offensive line. You had originally Walker Parks injured on the right guard position. He says he's going to return next year. So he's out for the season. And now we're hearing Marcus Tate is injured, and he's probably more than likely going to be out for the season as well. So patchwork offense on an offense that even before, when they were much more healthy, struggled to get things going. It really kind of worries me a ton. The losing streak doesn't worry me a ton. You get home, you can refresh and get back on track, right? But the injuries definitely worry me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's go to question number 2. What are your thoughts on Dabo Sweeneys' quest to break Frank Howard's all-time head coaching wins record for Clemson? And do you think he will achieve it this weekend? Well, if you've looked at the 105.5 The Roar's Pick'em contest, you saw that I picked Notre Dame minus the 3 points. I do feel like that Notre Dame is a team that has a more experienced quarterback. They have an offense. Now they have lost their tight end, so we got to make sure we remind that. I believe he's their number 1 receiver on their team. They've lost him. That's a big deal. That makes them a little more one-dimensional. But I do feel like they're pretty big bruisers on the running attack. So they have Audric Estime still there. I feel like that Clemson and Notre Dame will come down to a close game, but I could easily see Notre Dame winning by a touchdown because, to me, they've shown that they're a better team, at least right now. We will see how the game goes. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't feel like Dabo Sweeney is going to win the game this weekend. I don't feel like Clemson is going to win the game this weekend. I don't think Dabo Sweeney is going to pass Frank Howard. Now, keep in mind, Frank Howard, 165 wins at Clemson. He coached exclusively at Clemson. But he coached for 30 years with 165 wins. Dabo Sweeney right now is in year 16 and has 165 wins. So he has much less time to win those games and has really proven to have a great win percentage as a head coach. Still one of the best head coaches in the country. Don't forget about it. If there's anybody that can win the game, turn the season around, finish strong, I think it would be a Dabo Sweeney-led team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you confident that Clemson can have a chance? I know that plenty of people tell me, hey, Morgan, if Clemson plays like the best that they can play, they can beat anybody. If Clemson plays like they have been playing the past couple of games, they're not going to win any of these games at the end of the season. I will say I agree with that, but now with the injuries piling up to key players, especially on the offensive side, it makes me even more worried that this Clemson offense has no chance to do anything this weekend. It may be a struggle. I will be there in the stadium. Go check and see if you can see me. I'll be on the home side, kind of 50-ish yard line. Go see if you can find me there. I'd love to meet you and say hello. All right, let's get to the third question here. Notre Dame is known for its strong offense. How confident are you in Clemson's defense to stop their offense and force turnovers? I'm not really confident in Clemson forcing turnovers. They're not really that good in forcing turnovers this season. I don't think they're ranked pretty high in defensive turnovers there. I would like to see Clemson figure out how they can get more turnovers. It doesn't seem like they get that many fumbles, that many interceptions right now. So I would like to see them do that and improve on the turnover side of things, especially since the offense is going to give you some turnovers too. I feel like that the way Clemson's offense is playing, you have to give the other team 7 points just off of turnovers alone. But one thing that's good for Clemson's defense is that, again, that tight end, I think Mike Evans is not going to play. He's out for the season, torn ACL, tight end guy, number one receiver for Sam Hartman. So I feel like that they're going to have to figure some things out too. They don't have as strong of an offensive line as they did last season, so maybe they won't bruise up Clemson as much. But Clemson also lost a ton on the defensive line as well. That defensive line is not as powerful and not as good as what we once thought. They're still good. I still feel like they're probably a top 10 defense for sure, but we'll see how it goes. I do feel like that Notre Dame has the advantage, at least going into the game. That's just my opinion. They have a strong offense. They're dealing with injuries. I think Clemson's defense can keep it close and keep it within reason. One thing I will say is that even if Clemson's defense stops them with 17 points, it's hard to say, will Clemson's offense be able to even score 17 points? So that's kind of where we're at right now. I do feel like that I'm confident that Clemson's defense can hold them to a reasonable score. But again, can the offense help them out? We'll see. How do you see the running game with Phil Mafah impacting Clemson's chances against Notre Dame, considering Notre Dame's defense against the run? Well, the first thing I know is I think Phil Mafah is a great running back. I think it's not going to be too bad of a drop-off, but he is a different runner than Will Shipley. He's one of those guys you're not going to see as much out catching the football as you would with Will Shipley. And he's also another guy who doesn't really hit the hole as fast as Will Shipley. So I think it's going to slow down that offensive pace, especially with the attack of the running game. Now, it's not really just about Phil Mafah for me. It's about the fact that they have those other injuries as well. So when Clemson becomes one-dimensional and they know they're going to run the ball with Phil Mafah, is Clemson going to still be able to have success with the offensive line they have? I really have zero to no confidence at all with them being able to establish a run with the offensive line banged up and with Phil Mafah being a little bit slower off the hike than Will Shipley. They're just not going to be able to beat you with speed in that kind of lineup. Even though Phil Mafah is good, he's going to have to break through not only the second level, but also that first level as well, because I just don't see him running behind a clean blocker who's getting a lead block for you. I really feel like, with Clemson's offense the way it is in the run game, the running back has to do it all, and I just don't know if Phil Mafah is talented enough to do it all. And really, it's not fair to ask that from a running back. The offensive line should be better, but we know it is what it is. Now, here's my thing. After Phil Mafah, you have Dominic Thomas, who's also even more of a bruiser-type running back. You still are not changing up the pace at all, so you've slowed down your pace a ton between the two. Then you go behind him to Keith Adams. I think Keith Adams is a little bit faster, but he's also, when I've watched him, he's more of a guy who is a hard-nosed guy that wants to get hit and wants to take on that first guy. And he'll get those opportunities if he has the ball. I think that I've seen him in practice and I've seen him have some success, but he's not one of those guys that really has been able to break through past third string so far. So I really don't know what to expect from him. My hope is that, and what we've seen from some people, some other writers out there, has been asking Dabo Sweeney about Jay Haynes. My hope is him. Where can he fit in? He's a much more explosive guy off the snap. He can hit the hole much faster than the other guys I mentioned. So I'm kind of curious if Clemson doesn't realize, hey, we can't just beat Notre Dame with three bruisers, three more physical guys. We have to beat Notre Dame and find some speed. Really, Clemson's got to find some speed in any given way possible, which I don't know if it's possible, but they got to find some speed. I don't know, but Jay Haynes is definitely a guy where I would like to see get some opportunities because he seems to be a little bit more speedy than the other guys. You need to be able to offset that pace. So Phil Maffa, I think it's great. It's not going to be too bad of a drop off there. It's just going to be a different style of running back. I don't think you really say it even is a drop off. I just think it's a different style. But I do think going into it, they're going to need two different types of runners to be able to beat Notre Dame. And I even said this on the radio. I think your other runner, maybe even your best runner of the game, could potentially be Cade Klubnik if he can figure it out between the years. I don't know if he can or not, but I think that Cade Klubnik has an opportunity to show what he can do in the running game if he can remember to do it and get himself into good positions to take advantage of the teams that are just backing off on him and letting him dink and dunk. Instead of those dink and dunk passes, why not go run the ball with your legs and do it through Cade Klubnik and a quarterback scramble out of a passing play? That's what I would say. Can't put it all on Phil Maffa, but still not a bad running back to have as your number one. Being back at the home crowd could give Clemson a boost. How important do you think home field advantage will play in the game? Well, here's my thing about home field advantage. We already know that the fan base is divided pretty heavily right now. There's a lot of fans that are really still very positive and want to encourage the team, and they want to cheer them on and see them try to finish and fight strong to the end of the season. But the other side of things is there's part of the fan base out there that is very frustrated, that is ready for a change, and that really doesn't want to even wait for the end of the season for any change. They would like to see change happen now, and they're frustrated, not just because of this season, but they're frustrated because of previous seasons where it seems like Clemson is not getting better. It seems like they're not calling plays to their biggest playmakers, and it seems like the playmakers that everybody thought would be there in the spring and that were hyped up are not there. So there's a lot of frustration building up in the fan base. And while I will say Tyler from Spartanburg was very arrogant, and I don't think that he approached his opportunity to talk to the head coach of a football team in the right way, I can understand that part of the fan base that is frustrated with the performance that is on the field. This is not a performance that even Dabo Sweeneys is excited about, that is proud of. He's extremely frustrated, as you can tell. Guys who are not frustrated don't blow up like that. I know Dabo Sweeneys has to be frustrated, so I feel like that Clemson has to figure out some way to rally together. The team has to do it. Hopefully the fans will rally them while they're at home, but I can also see a little bit of worry as I go into this game thinking if Cade throws another interception, if he throws a pick six, I think there's going to be some big-time frustration from the fan base to say, why is the staff sticking with a quarterback who constantly hurts their team? I can understand that. I said it back against the Charleston Southern team when he threw a pick six that seemed to be a ridiculous decision. I thought, hey, you probably should just set him down there and let him see another quarterback do it and let him kind of reset from a different angle. It's too late now, and now we're in nine games into the season, so I don't see them even benching him even more, but I can see the team getting more or the fan base being more frustrated than just highly positive and clapping for everything. Clemson goes out there and does 5 or 6 3-and-outs and even has maybe even a turnover or a pick six. The fan base is probably going to be pretty frustrated, and you might hear it for sure, even at home. And honestly, like I said, I can't blame them because I know that this has been pent up over the past couple of years. It's not just this season. It's pent up over the past couple of seasons. But my encouragement is to you listening and watching, I hope that you go out there. If you're there, cheer them on. I mean, all they got is their home fans, and if they lose that, then it's really, really bad, right? They just have the brothers on the field and the fans to rally around them. If they don't have the fans, then it just makes it even worse. You could see the roster fracture even more. So hopefully the fans will go out there and remember that. Remember that, hey, this season, it's kind of, you play with the cards you've been dealt, and you have to fight through it and endure this season and try to, find some sort of positive. What's your prediction for the final score of the game, and why do you believe Notre Dame will cover 3 points? Okay, so I just know historically Clemson has not been well against the spread. They haven't been able to beat the teams in a fashion that we thought they should be able to beat them. They've honestly been losing to those teams. So for me, I don't think against the spread you can be confident at all for Clemson to cover that. Now, you could say, hey, plus 3 points at home. They play like they did against Florida State last time they were at home. I get it. You probably want to take that. But with the injuries that are piling up on the offensive side of the ball and the things that I've mentioned previously, the just lack of execution in the red zone, the decision-making from a quarterback, I really feel like everything piles up on Clemson. And I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see a team that just seems to be unlucky because the roster that they have is just very, very young. They're trying to figure it out, and they just don't feel like they've become a team. After all of these months of working together, after all of the practices that they've done and all the games that they've done, the offensive side of the ball still does not look like really a team at all. So I feel like that Notre Dame will come to Clemson because they're a more experienced team, because they look like they're a team that knows what they want to do. I think that Notre Dame will win, and will win by a touchdown against the Tigers. So I would say something like 7 points. I'd probably say something like maybe, 28-21, something like that. That would even still be kind of risky to say 21. Let me walk that back. So let's say I'm going to go 21-10, okay? I know that, man, it hurts to even say out loud, but right now I don't have a ton of confidence that Clemson can get to 21 points. So I will say Notre Dame gets to 21, maybe 24, and Clemson's at 10, and that will be the end of the game in Death Valley. Again, I will be there. I hope you will be there to encourage Clemson and fight on the Tigers for the rest of the season. One good thing is that the Tigers have 3 home games to go. This is a Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina. So they have 3 home games to try to be around their home environment and to get some confidence built before that end of the season rivalry game against South Carolina. Hey, that's the questions of the day. Make sure you get in the comments and let me know what you think on each question. I'd love to get your thoughts, concerns, and emotional outbursts about the Tigers in this season. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my exclusive Clemson content I put out every single week. And let me know if you like this format. I know it's a little bit longer, but I like answering some of these questions like this. So I hope you enjoy it as well. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.